It's day 2 of our holiday crockpot series, where we're showing you how you can make some of your holiday favorites in the crockpot. And the holidays wouldn't be complete without stuffing! And today I'm going to show you how to free up your oven space and make it in the crockpot. And you can get the full recipe linked in the description. And I don't want you to miss out. So go to the link below and sign up where you can get every single one of these recipes in your email. First things first, we're going to melt some butter. I am using my digital multi-cooker. Can't think of the word right now. If you do not have a multi-cooker like this one, I do have it linked in the description for you, but you can also just head to your stove and use a skillet. When I say multi-cooker, I mean that this will saute, sear, and slow cook, and I love that, and it's a great price. But your stovetop could do the same thing. You just have an extra dish to wash. So we started out with 1 cup of butter, and we're just letting it melt inside. And then we're going to chop up some celery. You're going to need 2 cups of celery. So I'm going to use my Pyrex dish, so that way I can go ahead and fill it up as I chop it. To cut your celery, I just like to run my knife through it at least once, so that way you'll get bite-sized pieces. If it's a bigger piece like this one, I might cut it up into 2 slices. Then you just squeeze them together and run your knife through them to chop them up into pieces. You could also use a food chopper, which we're going to use on the onion, which I might use for the rest of them. But as you get them ready, then you're just going to fill them up until you get to the 2 cups. Then you're going to take that diced celery and pour it into the butter and start sauteing it. We're going to saute this up until they become nice and soft. Then we got to chop up an onion. I'm going to cheat and use my food chopper today. You don't have to, but no tears will be shed today for this recipe. What I do is when I'm cutting my onions for the food chopper, I cut them in half and then cut them in half again, so you get these pretty little quarters. Then you're going to take the quarters and put the point side down, kind of press it in real quick, chop it, and you have these beautiful pieces. Now we're going to take those onions and toss them into that butter and celery and saute them up together. Cook these in the butter for about 5 to 7 minutes until the onions are translucent and everything is soft. You want to be careful because you don't want it to burn. So just keep an eye on it and stir it regularly. It's been 7 minutes and they're getting nice and soft. Then you're going to remove it from the heat. I'm just going to take it out of the crock pot, your skillet. You could just remove it off of the stovetop, or you could also just pour this into a bowl, but you'll have an extra dish to wash. We're going to let this cool completely. Now we have a few seasonings to stir in: a half a teaspoon of pepper and a half a teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of poultry seasoning. Grab your spoon and whisk it together, or stir it together. We are stirring this together, all the seasonings in, because this butter will coat our bread and make sure every bite has all of the flavor. While that's cooling, let's go ahead and get our bread ready. You need some dried bread. So it can be just left out on the counter overnight. You could throw it in the oven. It could just be old bread. But the crunchier it is, the better it is, because it won't be as soggy in your casserole. I like mine a little bit more dry than what it is today, but it's still going to be great. Now you're going to take each piece and I'm going to cut them in half, and in each half again. That's just kind of making long sticks. Then we're going to turn it and we're going to do the exact same thing again. Cut it in half, half again, and half again. So we have these beautiful little cubes. So you're going to take your slices. I usually do 2 or 3 at once. Cut them in half lengthwise. And these in half, and then this in half. And that's going to give you these sticks. Then when you turn it, I know this probably seems basic, but if you haven't done this before, it's really not. You're going to cut them in half again, and then cut each of those in half, and you're making cubes. So you get these pretty little cubes that are perfect for your stuffing. They're all nice and chopped. You're going to want about 12 cups of the bread. I have this giant 8-cup measuring, and then I just kept overflowing, and I have some extra on the side. So it's about a loaf of bread, including the hills. So just chop the whole thing up. Now we're just going to throw this all back into a big bowl because we're going to have to stir it all in here. Now I went and checked on my butter mixture and it is cooled. It doesn't have to be cold. It just needs to be cool because we have 2 eggs. We don't want them to scramble up in the mixture. So if they're too hot, it'll scramble it. So that's why we just allow it to cool, which for us, it was the perfect timing after we were done with the bread. This was done. So I'm just going to take these 2 eggs into a bowl and whisk them together. Then we're going to pour it into that butter mixture and stir it all around. Now we're going to pour this mixture over the bread cubes. You could pour the bread cubes just straight into your crock pot and stir it around, but I feel like this has a wider base, so it'll make it easier than this one. This one's just a little bit smaller. Some of my other crock pots are bigger. And we're just going to pour this all over and then mix it up to get every bread cube coated in that delicious flavor. Be gentle with it. Be very careful with it. You don't want to smash the bread. And honestly, you really could just get your hands in there and mix it all around with your hands. So I got my hands dirty and got in here. It was just easier because you can feel it when it's not coated. But you just don't rush this process. Don't squeeze them. It's okay for them to get a little bit of squish, but we've just learned in the history that I kind of like them. It's okay if you make a mess where they're not like completely smushed together. A little bit of smushing is good, but not always necessary. Now I'm just going to pour all of those in here. Let me get everything out of this big bowl. Then we're going to pour 2 to 3 cups of chicken broth on top and gently stir it until everything is moistened. You may not need all of the broth, so just pour a little bit at a time. Again, we're just gently stirring it. Now remember, you might not need it all, so I was doing it and I just needed about 2.5 cups. It all depends on how you like it. Do you like your stuffing a little bit soggier? Do you like it less soggy? I don't know if soggy is the right word to use. Maybe moist is the right word to use. You can also substitute some of the broth for, like on Thanksgiving, you can do like turkey drippings and pour it in there. My mom loves to do that and it makes it taste amazing. So you can substitute that as well. Like you could get it started with a little bit of broth and then top it off with drippings from the turkey, and that is amazing. Now I'm just going to spread it out into a thin layer, or not a thin layer, but a layer. Add the lid and cook it on low for 3 to 4 hours. That's how easy it is. The best part is you can actually make this ahead of time. So you can make it ahead of time and keep it in your fridge and just toss it in the crock pot, add the broth, and then you just hit go to make Thanksgiving Day even easier. It's ready. It's been a few hours. I will say a few tips, okay? I've noticed in cooking this in my ceramic, like old school style slow cooker, you get the nice crunchy edges, where on this one, you don't. So if you want the nice crunchy edges on a non-stick crock pot, just turn it on the saute setting and get those edges nice and crunchy. This is not going to get like a crunchy top like you might have in a traditional crock pot, or a traditional stuffing, but that way you'll get those crunchy edges that I personally love in a traditional stuffing, but it'll be in your crock pot. I hope that makes sense. You can also remove the lid in the last 30 minutes of cooking time just to help evaporate it and help get that top just a little bit crisper. Time to dig in. I'm gonna get a nice little scoop. Yes, I had turned mine on saute, so I got some of those crunchy edges that I personally love. I don't know, let me know in the comments. Are you a soft in the middle stuffing kind of person or crunchy edger kind of person? Because I'm a person who will just go and get just the edges. That's my favorite part. Okay, I gotta get an edge, then we gotta get a bite. Apparently I forgot how to use a fork. That happens when you're shooting videos. Okay, it's time for the test. That's real good. Very hot. I hope that this recipe helps you make your holidays so much easier. I know that it's so much less stress when you use your crock pot for any of our holiday recipes. Now, we do have a cookbook. It's a digital cookbook for crock pot holiday recipes, so you can pick and choose what you want to make for your holidays this year, whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, or even all the way to Easter. These holidays are going to help you out. And the thing I love about them, if you're not hosting a holiday, is your crock pot travels so well and it keeps it warm. So you can make your recipe in here and still take it to someone's house. So grab that cookbook right now while it's right on sale. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Okay, I'm out of here, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Remember also the link to the recipe and the email series is all in the description. Everything you need, as always. But I'm out of here, friends. In the meantime, don't forget to eat at home by eating on a dime. Bye, friends.